Hi there and welcome. In my previous video I was talking about this Sinclair digital multimeter, the PDM35, and how that allegedly was the first digital multimeter on the market. Some guy in the comments said that there's an earlier HP multimeter, and I guess he's right, and I acquired one of those as well, so we can take a look at that later. However, this one was really early, and you can see it because the range settings, and you had to do some mental arithmetic because the result up here, the decimal point wasn't shifted correctly, so you have to multiply by 10 or by 100 or by 1000 or whatever. But what happened in the meantime after I got that and released the video, I found something interesting on YouTube just purely by accident, and it's this thing here, which is clearly a Sinclair design. I mean, everything is practically identical. The enclosure is the same, the display is the same, there's 8 digits on each, the position of the range switches are the same, the slider here is about the same, the location of the on-off switch is the same, and there's a little voltage input there as well for running it on an adapter. On the back, if we just take that, it's also the same. There's a same made in England sticker, everything. It's practically identical. So the only difference is that this one here is marketed under the name Thandar, and of course it's not a multimeter, it's a frequency counter. So let's take a look at that and see if we can get it working, and also of course look inside to see what is happening internally. The switching is either blue or yellow, A or B, and if we select the A version, the blue one, the range is from 20 Hz to 10 MHz. And there are 4 ranges here, and basically this is just the counting time. Obviously, if we set the counting time to 1 second, it will give us exactly the correct frequency. Let's say we have 100 pulses for 1 second. Of course, the frequency is then 100 Hz. So this is directly 1-to-1. If we slide it to the right 1 notch, we have a count time of 10. So obviously in this mode we have to wait 10 seconds, but we have additional resolution of 10 times. Similarly, when we slide it to the left, all the way to the left, it counts only in 10 milliseconds, so we don't get so many pulses in. So the resolution will not be as great, but of course it will count faster. So we have resolution of 100 Hz, 10 Hz, 1 Hz, and 0.1 Hz. So that is really nice. In range B, it's basically the same, but in range B it goes from 5 MHz to 200 MHz. And the timing is about the same, but multiplied by 2. So yeah, I put in a battery already. It's using a standard 9-volt battery, just like the multimeter did. So let's just switch it on and see if we have anything. And indeed we do. It says something like, switch it to 1 Hz, update rate, and we have some noise. It says, there we go, 0.000 kilohertz. So 0 Hz, it looks good, there's no signal input, and we have 0 Hz on the display. I'm not sure how well you can see the display, so I'm going to dim the light, and then we will hook it up to my signal generator, and we will see how well it performs. So give me a second, I will rearrange my table, and then we have a look. Okay, so there we go. I have set my frequency generator to 1 kHz, as you can see, and the frequency counter says 1.000 kHz. So that is really beautiful, just spot on. And of course, this is counting for 1 second, which means it takes about 1 second when I change the frequency here. So let's change to 2 kHz and see it take an update here. Boop. And about 1 second later we have 2 kHz on the display. If we go the other way, it updates really quickly, and you can see now it updates 10 times per second, 100 times per second, and we lost some resolution. Now we have only 1 0 after the decimal point. So that is working the way it should, and let's move all the way to the other end. So this is going to take a while before the result shows up in the display, and there we have it. And so anyway, I will move it up to 10 kHz, as you can see, and we should get 10 kilohertz after it updates, so we have to wait a little bit again. And there we have it. So we have a very nice, very accurate meter actually. It's showing 10.0001 kilohertz, so it's out by well, actually it's spot on 10 kilohertz exactly. So very nice. Now I'm going to shift the range slider back, so we don't have to wait that long for the display to update. So next, let's move it up to let's see, what can we get. Let's move it up to 100. Okay, 108. It says 108. It's really very accurate. Let's move it up to 1 megahertz. There, 1 megahertz, no problem whatsoever. And let's go up to 10 megahertz, which is the maximum that it can do at this range. And again, we have 10 megahertz with a very nice resolution, so it works very nicely. And then let's try 20 megahertz. Remember, this is outside the range of the meter here, so it just it gets stuck somehow at 10 megahertz. So that is, I guess, it will be nice to have an error on overflow or something like that. But considering the age of this machine, I think that's pretty cool. Now let's change it back. Let's change it to the other range, and it should show now. What have we got? 20 megahertz exactly. So that is correct. And this is the point where my frequency generator cannot go higher than 20 megahertz. So we can't really test it higher than that, unless I start fiddling around with some radio tester or whatever. So I can generate, of course, frequencies higher than 20 megahertz, but just to make sure that this frequency meter is actually working and working on all ranges, I think this is good enough. So let's take it apart and have a look inside. Okay, so we're inside now, and basically it's a 2-layer PCB, nice little compact one as well. And we see that there's one big chip, which is the Intersil ICM7216D. And that chip is responsible for all the counting, as well as handling the display. Obviously it's using a crystal as a time base, and there's a little trimmer here, so we can get the frequency just right. The trimmer is accessible from a hole in the front panel, as we saw earlier. So you can trim it yourself later on if it has drifted over time. So that's a nice little feature. Apart from that, we have the inputs down here. There are 2 inputs. The original input and the one with the 20 dB gain. As you can see, there's a little transistor here that will take care of that. Then we have the input selector here, and the interesting things actually takes place in this area in the middle here. First of all, we have a couple of transistors to give it sufficient gain, and then we have a pre-scaler here, because this thing can handle up to 200 megahertz on the input, but this chip can only handle 10. So we have a problem. We need to divide down by additional 20 times if we need to handle 200 megahertz on the input. So this chip will divide by 10. This is a Plessey chip, and after that there's a D flip-flop, a 74LS74, and that can be configured to divide by 2. So we have all the counting taking place here, pre-scaler from 200 megahertz down to 20 megahertz, and then divide by 2 again down to 10, so this chip can handle everything else, the display and whatever. So yeah, very compact little design by Sinclair there. At least I think it's by Sinclair. It doesn't say Sinclair anywhere on the PCB. And to be frank, I don't know when this board was designed, because it says 86 on the chip. And it bothers me a little bit that it says 86, because the Sinclair calculator was phased out in the maybe about 1980, 82, somewhere around there. So Sinclair must have kept some additional plastic boxes that he couldn't get rid of, and he sold those to Thandar or something. The other thing that is a little bit strange is that it doesn't say Sinclair anywhere on the PCB. And if it's designed in about 86, that is after the Sinclair Spectrum, after the QL. It's basically after Amstrad took over Sinclair, so the timing doesn't really fit. So if you know anything about this frequency counter, when it was developed and when it was sold to Thandar, that would be interesting. And you can leave a message in the comments below. So I know every time I get some vintage equipment, I say, wow, this is really cool. I'm going to use that in my daily work. But for this one, I'm pretty sure I will. I mean, it's really nice to have a frequency counter that you can move around on your workbench, something like a multimeter, but for frequencies. So a nice little device by Sinclair, and yeah, I think that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and see you again soon.